This lesson is one of the greatest traditions of guitar. It's a fundamental part of everyone's vocabulary, and it should be part of yours. Hendrix, Clapton, Page, Satch, Vai, and Stevie Ray all use this technique heavily, so even if you don't know it, you'll recognize the sound of it. It's what I would categorize as a compound technique in that it's a series of 3 single techniques strung together to get 3 separate notes with one pick attack in a way that is purely unique to guitar. I refer to this as bend, release, pull off, because those are the steps you take to play it. So let's take a look at the steps required to perform this technique. So you'll start with just a bend, a normal whole step bend. I'm going to be operating in A minor and thinking like A minor pentatonic. So I'll start on G string 7th fret, and I'm going to bend that D note to an E. So regular bending rules, think about your intonation and your target note. You want to bend to that E, make sure that it makes it there and it sounds in tune. Next thing you do, take that bend and you release it, and you want to hear that note come down. Right? E, D. And then the third technique, of course, is you're going to do a pull off from that D to the C on 5th fret of the G string. Right? So that's 3 notes with one pick attack. So right there, you want to make sure that when you do that pull off, you do a little flick with your 3rd finger, right? So that you get a really nice, fresh new note off that C. If you don't do the pull off, you may get kind of an anemic sounding C note, right? Just something like that, where it's not as loud as the other ones. That's not cool. Right there, they all sound the same. Now, a common thing that'll happen is, as people tend to speed this up, that middle note starts to disappear, and you'll just get a bend and a pull off. And that's not what you're going for. It's not going to sound right. You get just 2 notes there. We don't want 2 notes. We want 3 notes. Right? So that's the sound of the whole thing together. And then commonly in this spot, in this position, it'll ultimately resolve down to the tonic to A, right? 7th fret on the D string. Right? It makes a good triplet. Triplet 1, or whatever. You can make that first note longer. That's a really cool way of interpreting it. And now I can move that to different octaves, of course. We could put that in pattern 2, pentatonic on the high string on 10th fret, 8th fret. Right? I could put that in pattern 4, 13th, 15th fret, resolving onto 14th fret of the G string. That's all in the B string. And we could put that in the next octave. I can put it even higher. Right? If you have enough frets. And another place you can put it is any of your really common bending places. You know, your standard bending places, bending the minor 7th up to the tonic. Right? And that also would live on the high string on 15th and 12th fret. Right? That's a good place to put it. And then also ultimately on the minor 3rd and tonic 2. Something like that. You could just string them together. So those aren't the only places you can use this technique. You could really put it anywhere you want. Just think about your target notes. You know, where am I bending to? Is it a note that makes sense? Think about your resolutions. It's going to sound like it ends on somewhere that sounds resolved. Things like that. And, you know, you just take it slow until the technique kind of comes together and becomes its own thing. So there you have it. Bend, release, pull off. This is a very simple lesson. If this is new to you, just be patient with it. Let it kind of take its course. Do it slowly, methodically, controlled, and it'll just get faster on its own as it becomes more comfortable and second nature. It's a pretty advanced beginner kind of intermediate technique, so I'm sure a lot of people are already familiar with it. You know, if you are, maybe I pointed something out that you didn't think about with it, but for those of you to whom it's a new technique, I hope you enjoy it, and please subscribe, rate, and review, and I hope to see you again.